Astronomers pointed their instruments at 3I Atlas, expecting dust and ice, but found something else beneath its surface. Signals echoed like engineered whispers. Not random, not natural patterns. Layers of metallic resonance. Could this comet be more than it seems, a derelict craft perhaps? The universe just blinked, and we're watching strange scans from deep space. It started as routine observation. After all, 3I Atlas was already extraordinary. A rare interstellar comet, moving faster than anything native to our solar system and older than our sun. But when new scans began returning from major observatories, the data no longer looked like that of a comet. Instead of the expected icy emissions or mineral-rich dust, the instruments picked up something else entirely. Metallic signatures, sharp, structured, and unnatural. They weren't random spikes in background radiation or spectral glitches. These were deliberate, coherent readings, high reflectivity responses at frequencies that suggested dense, highly ordered material. Initial theories leaned on familiar ground. Perhaps micrometeorite impact had exposed a dense core, or maybe sunlight was reflecting off a peculiar mineral crust. But one by one, those explanations unraveled. The signal wasn't diffuse. It was symmetrical, structured, repeating. Teams from multiple observatories cross-validated the readings. They switched wavelengths, recalibrated instruments, and double-checked solar interference. But the anomaly persisted, and with each layer of scrutiny, it became harder to ignore the possibility no one wanted to voice. The spectral data didn't match any natural metal known to Earth, nor did it resemble any product of stellar nucleosynthesis. It wasn't like iron from a core or nickel from an asteroid. It was something else. That's when whispers began, not in press releases, but in conference rooms, private Slack channels, and late-night calls between researchers. A question surfaced that couldn't be dismissed. What if this isn't just a comet? The idea felt reckless, unrealistic, but so did the data, because something inside 3I Atlas wasn't behaving like rock or ice. It was resonating, a kind of harmonic return like sonar bouncing off the inside of a hole. Comets shouldn't do that. Dead matter doesn't echo. And so what began as a curious interstellar visitor suddenly became a scientific enigma, possibly the most important in modern history, not because it defied expectations, but because it fit into no known category. The deeper they scanned, the more it resembled not just material but structure. And structure changes everything, the metal that shouldn't exist. As scientists pushed deeper into the data, they encountered an unsettling truth. The metallic signature in 3I Atlas simply shouldn't exist. The readings didn't reflect platinum, titanium, or any known exotic alloy, even those crafted for high-thrust engines or deep space probes. No element, no combination, no natural or human-made mix in our extensive material catalogues matched this. It was more than rare. By all known laws of chemistry, it was impossible. Yet the anomaly wasn't merely about the metal's composition. It was about how the material behaved. Instead of reflecting radiation like a mirror bouncing sunlight across a calm pond, it manipulated it. In some wavelengths, light bent sharply. In others, it vanished, absorbed into the lattice with eerie precision. That's not natural. That's design. Think of the most advanced metamaterials on Earth. Structures carefully engineered to bend light, suppress reflections, cloak objects, or amplify certain frequencies. Those are feats conceived in high-tech labs under tightly controlled conditions. Yet here, drifting across the solar system, this object seemed to embody that technology naturally, or more frighteningly, intentionally. The internal lattice of the metal wasn't like crystallized gemstones formed by time and pressure. Instead, it resembled a molecular scaffold with mathematical precision. Every atom, channel, and layer in a deliberate configuration. Some scientists refer to it as a quantum cage, a structure that channels energy across intended pathways, not by geological chance, but by engineering. So how could such a material exist in space? The universe excels at randomness, meteor impacts, planetary differentiation, stellar nucleosynthesis, the heat and chaos of supernovae. But those processes don't create symmetrical, repeating, nanoprecise, energy-guiding lattice structures. At best, they yield rough fragments. At worst, they shred matter into dust. This object was neither wreckage nor detritus. It was intact, refined. Some astrophysicists floated suggestions. Perhaps it was the super-dense residue of a neutron star fragment, or crystals formed under extreme magnetic fields in a collapsing star. But those ideas crumbled under scrutiny. None could account for retention of structure, let alone manipulate light as seen here. No, this wasn't debris, not fusion ash. It was built by someone or something. The implications rippled instantly through the scientific world. At first, the response was cautious suppression. Official press releases hedged their language, but information couldn't stay contained. In private data transfers, team chats, and encrypted academic forums, the words started appearing. Artifact, engineering, alien. This was no longer a comet. It wasn't just cosmic curiosity. It was a case, a physical object that, if proven artificial, would represent the first tangible evidence of intelligent non-human life, not detected via a radio broadcast or a brief astronomical anomaly, but through matter itself. An object bearing the hallmarks of deliberate design, drifting through space like a message in metal. And as the lower-level journalists caught whispers of spaceship signals, the public jaw dropped. The world began to sense the magnitude of what was under scrutiny. What started as cold data had become a proof of concept for interstellar archaeology. The discovery didn't just challenge science. It shook belief systems. But now more than ever, clear eyes and careful analysis were needed, because the stakes had moved from academic curiosity to cosmic consequence. Atlas was no longer just a visitor. It was ambiguity in architecture, a riddle in alloy, and humanity stood poised at the beginning of a new chapter in understanding our place in the universe. Signs of engineering, not erosion. When scientists examined the source of the metallic signal from 3I Atlas, they expected to find chaos, fragments, mineral clumps, perhaps some exotic inclusions blended into ice and dust. But what they saw instead made the room go quiet. The material wasn't scattered randomly. It was layered, precise, symmetrical, and unnaturally consistent. The metal formed repeating bands, each with a near-identical thickness and spacing. It looked like plating, like manufactured shielding. To some, it resembled the thermal tiles on a spacecraft. Others saw something more ancient, something built to last the journey through stars. The arrangement didn't fit any known natural process. These weren't the jagged patterns of cosmic erosion or heat fractures. They weren't blast marks from collisions or scars from passing near a star. This was organization, not randomness, deliberate, not incidental. And then came the voids. Internal scans detected hollow regions inside the object. At first, it wasn't surprising. Many comets have gas pockets or collapsed chambers, but these voids were different. They didn't collapse. They weren't misshapen. They held form, geometrically clean, even aligned with the external metallic layers. Some looked like compartments, others like internal chambers. They were too structured to be natural. Scientists ran model after model, impact simulations, heat exposure, chemical decay. None could reproduce the patterns they were seeing in 3I Atlas. Nature doesn't build with such discipline, especially not on this scale and not across billions of years of interstellar drift. One research team said it out loud first. This object wasn't shaped by its environment. It was shaped for it. If the structure wasn't a result of erosion, it had to be fabrication. If that was true, it wasn't a comet. It was a construct. That idea changed everything. Suddenly, 3I Atlas wasn't just a scientific puzzle. It became a philosophical shockwave. If the object was engineered, the implications were seismic. It could be a probe, a container, even a derelict vessel. It might have held something once, it might still. No propulsion system was visible. No antennas, no signatures of power. But its structure alone suggested intelligence, intent. It was like discovering a machine with no user manual, just layers of silent code carved into alloy and ice. And in nature, symmetry is rare. When it appears with precision, it often points to life because life organizes, life plans, life designs. That was the unsettling part. There were no markings, no languages, no clues to its purpose. But the more researchers examined it, the more undeniable it became. This was not the outcome of chance. It was built perhaps to travel, perhaps to protect, perhaps to be found. Erosion couldn't do this. Time couldn't do this. Only intelligence could. And now, drifting through our system, this artifact, or whatever it truly is, has done something no alien transmission ever managed to do. It has left proof not in theory, but in matter. We haven't just discovered a rock. We've discovered intent, why metamaterial behavior matters on Earth. Metamaterials represent the outer edge of modern physics, substances carefully engineered at the nanoscale to control how energy moves. These materials can bend light around objects, distort sound waves, and guide electromagnetic fields in ways that nature simply doesn't allow.